bought the house, hit the six-figure salary, and checked every box on your vision board. So why does it still feel like nothing? Not burnout, not depression, just a quiet flatness that shows up after the win. The promotion comes through, and by Friday, it already feels ordinary. The vacation ends. The number in the account goes up, and the feeling doesn't follow. You did everything right. That's what makes it confusing. Most people assume the problem is the goal, that they aimed at the wrong thing, so they set a bigger one, a better one. And the cycle starts again. The problem isn't the goal, it's that no goal was ever designed to do what you're asking it to do. The Japanese have understood this for centuries. There's a word for the thing that goals can't give you. It's called Kokorozashi. Once you understand what it actually means, the way you've been measuring your own life will never look quite the same. Kenji's father turned 70 on a Saturday in October. The dinner was good, the house was full. His mother had cooked for 2 days straight. His aunts argued over the seating. His father sat at the head of the table, looking exactly the way a man should look on his 70th birthday, like he had nothing left to prove. Toward the end of the meal, Kenji's cousin asked the question, "What are you proudest of, uncle?" The table quieted. His father thought for a moment. Then he talked about the mornings, about showing up at the same workshop for 40 years, about the men he'd taught, about his wife knowing she could count on him. No title, no salary, no achievement in the way Kenji understood the word. The moment passed, but Kenji kept turning it over on the drive home. He had things his father never had. A better salary, a bigger apartment, a career that had moved upward in ways his father never could. He had checked boxes his father didn't even know existed. So why did his father seem settled, in a way Kenji couldn't name? The question was still there when he pulled into his parking space. "What are you proudest of?" He sat in the car for a long time. Nothing he thought of felt like the right answer. Tadashi had known Kenji's father for 30 years. He was still at the house when Kenji came back inside. The two of them ended up walking the neighborhood while the others cleaned up. Kenji mentioned the question, half as small talk. Tadashi didn't let it stay small talk. "Your father has Kokorozashi," he said. You can hear it in how he answered. Kenji knew the word. Loosely, he'd seen it in business contexts. Something about a mission, purpose, that kind of language. Tadashi shook his head slightly. People hear it and think of a mission statement. It's closer to a direction you keep moving in, whether anyone is watching or not, whether it's paying off or not. He paused. Everything your father mentioned at that table, he's still doing it, that's all I mean. Researchers studying sustained motivation in Japanese working populations have tracked something consistent for decades. People who can articulate what they're for, not what they want to earn, but what they keep returning to regardless of outcome, show measurably higher life satisfaction over time. The effect compounds. The longer someone moves with that sense of direction, the less ordinary disappointment can knock them off course. Kenji walked in silence for a moment. "I have goals," he said. "I work hard toward them." "I know," Tadashi said. "That's not what I'm talking about." Kenji pushed back, reasonably. He had a savings target, a career trajectory, things he was building toward. Tadashi listened. Then he asked one question. "When you reach them, what happens next?" Kenji opened his mouth. Then he closed it. He had an answer. There was always the next thing, a next level, the next box. But as he tried to say it out loud, he heard what Tadashi was hearing. The goals had finish lines, and past every finish line, there was just another finish line. The target moved the moment he touched it. It had always moved. His father's answer at the dinner had no finish line in it. 40 years in the same workshop, the same men, the same wife, knowing she could count on him. Those things didn't complete. They continued. Researchers at Tohoku University followed over 40,000 Japanese adults for 7 years. They measured something they called ikigai, a sense of life purpose closely tied to Kokorozashi. People who reported a clear sense of it, were significantly less likely to die from cardiovascular disease over the course of the study. The ones with no clear sense of it had nearly double the risk. Not motivation, not discipline, not the right morning routine, a direction they were moving in. Tadashi put it simply. Your father doesn't wake up Monday morning dreading the week. You do. That's the whole difference. Kenji didn't argue with that. When was the last time you looked at what you're building and asked, not when will I finish this, but would I keep doing this if nothing came of it? If the answer came easily, you probably already know your Kokorozashi. If it didn't come at all, that gap is worth sitting with. Kenji asked the obvious question. How do you find it, if you've never looked for it? He expected a process, something to write down. Tadashi smiled the way people smile when they've been asked something they once asked themselves. Stop looking for it like a goal, he said. Start noticing what keeps coming back. Pay attention to what keeps mattering when the reward disappears, when no one is impressed, when it advances nothing. The things you return to anyway. Those are the threads. Kokorozashi is already present in most people. It's just buried under the noise of what they thought they were supposed to want. Kenji thought about that. He thought about the Saturday mornings he spent fixing things around his apartment that no one would ever notice. The conversations at work he never avoided. The ones where someone younger was trying to figure something out. The way those never felt like a chore. He hadn't called any of that a goal. Maybe that was the point. The shift is a small one, from what do I want to achieve, to what keeps mattering anyway. It took Kenji about 3 months to feel it clearly. He didn't change jobs, he didn't overhaul his life. He started staying a few minutes longer when a younger colleague was stuck on something. He signed up to run a small mentoring group on Tuesday afternoons. He stopped checking his performance metrics every morning and started asking a different question at the end of each day. Did I do the thing I'm actually for? Some days, yes. Some days, no. But the question itself changed something. A study published in the journal Psychological Science found that people with a strong sense of purpose showed measurably lower levels of cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone, even on days when difficult things happened. The purpose didn't remove the difficulty. It meant the difficulty couldn't shake the foundation. That's what Kenji started to feel. He still had targets, still had deadlines, still had weeks that ground him down. But the Sunday evening dread that had followed him for years, it started to lift, not because his circumstances changed, because he finally knew what he was showing up for. 6 months after that walk with Tadashi, his team hit a rough quarter. Numbers down, morale is low, the kind of stretch that would have sent Kenji spiraling 2 years before. He didn't spiral, he just kept showing up on Tuesday afternoons. That's Kokorozashi. A reason to move through hard times. You just saw what happens when achievement runs out of meaning. But Kenji's father understood something else. Something that started before the workday, before the goals, before any of it. Japanese researchers studying the country's longest-lived populations kept finding the same thing in their daily routines. A morning practice that has almost nothing to do with productivity. It has a name most people in the West have never heard. And in the next video, you'll understand exactly why it works and how to start using it.